Hi folks and welcome back to the Film Reelcast. I am Stuart, your host. It's Friday, that can only mean one thing. WandaVision! Before we get into episode 4, just a reminder, there's loads more to watch on this channel. There's Cobra Kai, there's The Shield, there's The Mandalorian. There's a non-spoiler playlist as well with things like Caliber, American Mary, there's Would You Rather. There's a lot more content on here now and it's growing bigger and bigger all the time. So if you like what you see, remember, please subscribe, please leave some feedback and notifications. And obviously share with your friends. And just a reminder, we've got the audio podcast as well, which has been going on for years. We've got a huge library of about 120 films at the moment. There's 4 of us doing it now, so we've got 4 different opinions. We tangent, we laugh, we take the piss. It's rarely serious. It's really good fun. We've just done RoboCop and soon we're going to do Shoot 'Em Up, which is currently on Netflix. It's Clive Owen, Monica Bellucci. It's a mental film. The name says it all. Check out the trailer on YouTube and just see what you think. But we're going to review that next week. That will be out probably Thursday next week. And that's available on all good podcasting platforms. Okay, without further ado, let's get on with episode 4 of WandaVision. Now, if you remember last week, it ended with the surprise of Geraldine being obviously a sword agent. We saw by the necklace around her neck, she made that reference to Ultron, which really freaked Wanda out. And then there was Vision outside talking to Agnes, and there was Herb as well. And they were acting really, really strange. They kept referring to not probably wanting to be in this universe or put in this universe or what their purpose was. And Herb wanted to get that message across, if you remember, but it couldn't quite do it. And they looked like they were frightened to do it. And Geraldine got thrown out of the WandaVision universe. And she ended up outside it looked like in normal life, in real time, where she was surrounded by soldiers, jeeps and helicopters and things like that. And that's where we were left hanging. And again, we get that voice on the radio of trying to get hold of Wanda. So this week, it's a huge week. It's a really exciting, interesting episode. And we discover so much more of the reasons why and possibly where things are going as well. And we kick off where we see the effects of the reverse blip with regards to people coming back after Thanos was destroyed and the Infinity Stones. And what I like about this is that we see the other side of it. Remember in Spider-Man we saw the positives of where people's friends and family came back and their loved ones and they were really reunited. And it was a really nice side of it. But on this side we see the actual negatives of different kind of traumas that people have gone through. And we see Monica Rambeau waking up in the chair in the hospital. And she's waiting for Maria. And we learn, sadly, that Maria died. And that she had her cancer treatment. And the reason why she's sitting in the chair next to the bed is that she's waiting for her mum to wake up after the treatment. But sadly, that Maria died of cancer during the blip. And she never saw her mum again. And that's the really sad side. We saw that in Spider-Man where the band came back and friends, like school friends, were reunited. I mean, Peter Parker was one of them. So I think it's a really good move to show both sides of the story with regards to the blip. So we learned that Monica is working at S.W.O.R.D. and she goes back there. And when she goes back there, you can see on the big screen as she walks in the news headline with regards to the blip that bring in loved ones together. So again, they're still seeing that positive side of things where Maria's gone through such devastation as not been able to say goodbye to her mum. But it's a really nice touch that they're kind of keeping up with this and you're getting the continuity as well. And she meets with acting director Tyler Hayward. And the director talks about a new project that's taken off and that we need to protect Earth from outside forces. And then you get the reference where she says there are allies as well. And it's obviously she's referring to Danvers, Captain Marvel, going back to the last Captain Marvel film where she was a young kid and she met Marvel. So again, it's nice hints to the MCU. And during the course of this, you do get a lot more hints and the direction that possibly this is going in and the links with the MCU, which is coming out in the next phase. So Monica learns that she's grounded. And this was a rule made up by Maria before she died. That if you're involved in the blip, that you don't go out, you're not active until it's worked out why you vanished and if you're healthy enough to be an active agent. So she's sent to Westview in New Jersey to investigate a missing person. And that's where we meet up with an old character, Jimmy Woo, if you remember from Ant-Man. And Jimmy Woo was fascinated by magic. And that led to some really, really interesting scenes. He's a nice character. And it's great to see him be an addition to this series as well. Because he brings real energy. And when they get to Westview, that they're met by two cops. And it's really interesting the way these cops act. It's as if that they're being controlled or their mind's been wiped. I mean, they're asked outright by Jimmy Chu about Westview, and they deny it, despite the fact you can see behind them there's a massive sign saying Westview. They stand there and he says, no such place. But he's got a blank expression on his face, as if he's been mind controlled or his mind's been completely blanked. And he actually believes there's no place, despite the sign being there. And I don't know if this is someone controlling his mind, whether it's Wanda controlling his mind, or he's just had his mind blanked. But it's really strange. It's very X-Files, the kind of feel to this. So because of this, Monica launches a drone. And as you can see what happens to this drone, it then gives a hint that there's a massive force field around it. And as Monica gets closer, you can see she vanishes. And it's really good. Because she vanishes, you soon learn that this goes back. It's like a prequel of how things started, of how she got into this universe that supposedly Wanda has created. And this is obviously a hint to the helicopter being in there, because we learn throughout this that anything from the modern world which goes into kind of Wanda's universe goes back to 1950s clothing or 1960s clothing and adjusts to that world. And that's why that drone, when you see the colours of the drone, match the colours found by Wanda in that hedge. And it could possibly be that the colours are different because it's a foreign object that's been kind of inserted into Wanda's kind of makeshift world, her universe. And that's why it's a different colour. And that could obviously, possibly, explain the blood when her friend is cut in the hand, and that it's a different colour. That again, it's an accident that's happened. Something that Wanda can't control, which is why it's a different colour. I don't know, it's just my theory, a thought that I'm putting out there. Let me know if you think that could be possible, or you know the actual reason why, or you think I'm just talking bollocks. Just let me know. It'd be really interesting to get your point of view on this, because there's so many different ways that it could unravel. And this also explains why the beekeeper is dressed the way he is. We learn later on that he's got a hazmat suit and that he goes down into the sewers and that he's got a rope and that he's put in there. And that when he comes up, obviously he goes into Wanda's universe, changes, as we can see on the screen there, into the beekeeper's outfit. Wanda obviously sees, again, that he's a foreigner. I don't know why he's not dressed. It would have been good if he was a different colour, that he was actually in colour coming up from the drains. That would have been really interesting. But obviously she sees the logo on his back, and how much of the sword logo she knows, we're yet to find out. But obviously that's why she rewound it when he came up, because it's something that she didn't want. But we're starting to learn more about why these characters were there and why they look so different. Because at the time it really didn't make sense of why someone's appearing from a sewer of all things wearing a beekeeper's outfit. We now know in fact that was a hazmat suit. But again, that still poses the question, where is that guy? Where is the agent, the sword agent, who came up from the drain? Because we've not seen him. His rope was cut and he's vanished. Is he someone who's going to come into it later on? Because at the point, that was a major part. That was a major bombshell that's happened in this episode. So where is he now? Will he come back into it? And again, talking about things changing of when they kind of go into Wanda's universe. Before Monica kind of goes through into that different time zone, before she gets sucked in there, she's got the pass round her neck, the shield pass, as you can see. So possibly this is the silver pendant which Wanda sees, that is changed from a plastic kind of lanyard and a pass into the silver necklace. So that's just another theory of things changing over. Again, I could be looking at this far too detailed, but as we're learning more, what I love about this, it kind of makes you question more and ask more questions. If you remember from episode 1, it was a bit sterile, but now it's got going and it's really, really good. It really makes you question what you're seeing and if it's a possible clue as well, which I love about these things. So next we're introduced to another really good character. Dr. Darcy Lewis, played by Kat Dennings. If you remember her from Thor and Thor the Dark World, she brings a lot of humour and a lot of entertainment. And she instantly teams up with Randall Park, who's Jimmy Woo. And you instantly get the chemistry between them. And they do make a good couple, to be honest. It would be nice to see them get together. But she makes an immediate impact with some really good humour. And she soon figures out that there's a signal coming from the kind of sphere or the dome that Wanda has created. And that she says that there's radiation that goes all the way back to the Big Bang. And that could relate to the Infinity Stones, because Wanda is kind of linked to the Infinity Stones. So that could be the reason why she's sensing such high levels of radiation. I don't know, but that's what I believe. And it's when she kind of tunes into a signal that she unbelievably sees like a sitcom. And when she has a closer look at it, she realises that it's Vision and Wanda in this 50s sitcom. And rather than be shocked, she gets sucked into it like she's actually watching a normal sitcom. And she laughs when it's funny, and she cries when it's sad. And it's really, really funny. Rather than take the scientific approach and be really serious about it, she approaches it with a sense of humour. And that's great, to be honest. So through watching this, all of the agents start to work out and gain the identities of a lot of the other people who play a part in Wanda's universe. But one of the ones that they can't get any information on, and again I'm taking a massive leap here, is Agnes. And I'm wondering whether this will come back and it'll be Agatha Harkness. And that's her true identity. Possibly that's the reason why they don't know who she is. And if you look at the comics, Agatha Harkness goes back and she actually teaches at some point Wanda how to use her powers and how to teaches her kind of witchcraft. So it'll be interesting, and she's a protector. So, and she's also linked to the Fantastic Four. So it'll be interesting to see if Agnes does come out to be Agatha Harkness and that she's there to protect Wanda, or whether she's there and she's created this whole universe. I honestly don't know, but I don't know. It could link back to her, or I could just be looking into it too much. But it's interesting going back to the other people involved in this. If it is Wanda's world, which I've kind of guessed a few times, that she's in some kind of coma or she's being controlled or someone else has got her under a spell, that whether Wanda has used the mind controls that she used on Tony Stark back in the Age of Ultron, that she's controlled all of these people to play a part and they actually don't know what they're doing, or is one of them the missing person that she was sent down, which Monica was sent down to kind of investigate the disappearance of. So I don't know how that will play out, but there are so many different possibilities in this, and that's what makes it so interesting. You could look at it and go down so many paths, and Marvel are good at doing that. That you think you've cracked it, but you haven't, and you're just guessing, you're making up so much information, you're trying to link things that aren't even there. So Darcy comes up with the idea with her and Jimmy linking in a signal to try and talk to Wanda. And again, but we go back to where she hears the voices on the radio. And it's great that you can put a face to that voice, that we learn that it's Jimmy Woo trying to talk to her, trying to pull her out, trying to get her attention to find out what she's doing and why she's there. So they continue to watch Wanda as if it's like a soap opera. And they see the part where Geraldine was ejected, but they soon learn that it's kind of been edited out. And it's as if someone from somewhere is editing and censoring what they're actually seeing. Because you see the bit where Geraldine is kind of challenged by Wanda and that you don't belong here, and then it finishes. But thankfully for us, then we see the actual way it did play out, that she actually properly goes Scarlet Witch. So you've seen that she's got her hands already and that she's ready to fire. And she fires poor Geraldine through every single wall of the house, out of the house, all the way out of this dome. And that's where she lands outside. And that's where the last episode ended, and she was on the ground being rescued by the military. So we know now that it was Wanda who ejected her and that she used her powers because she was a threat. And was she a threat because she was a stranger and she knows who Sword are? Or was it the fact that she just didn't know who she was and she blasted her out of this world? And there's also, from that, rumours on the internet, and I don't know much about this, but this could be what turns Monica into Photon where she's got the powers given to her or powers transferred into her from the Scarlet Witch, which makes her into Photon, which she was, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, I probably could be wrong, don't crucify me, in the comic books. I think she was. It could be her mum, I don't know. But anyway, that's how we discover how Geraldine was smashed out of this universe and back into the real world. You do see Vision in grey, and you see the reaction from Wanda where she's shocked and horrified like she's seen a corpse. And again, I wonder if he's in colour, because it's something that she didn't expect, something she couldn't control, and that's why she dismissed it. And when she was back in control, it went back to the usual kind of scenario where he was Vision again and talking and laughing. But it was a really good vision. It was a shocking vision of seeing Vision standing there with the hole in his head where Thanos had removed that stone, and he had no life in him whatsoever. It was very, very good and really creepy as well. So Vision says to Wanda that we don't have to stay, but we can go wherever we want. And she says this is our home. And it's interesting because she says, I've got everything under control now. So whether she means that she knows her powers, or she's starting to understand the world more that she's created, or whether it's simply the fact that Geraldine has now been expelled from her kind of universe. Now, I don't know what the look on Vision's face means. It's like a scared kind of puzzled look. I don't know why he's doing that. Because it appears that he's being controlled, or he's a figment of Wanda's imagination of what life would be living together. So I don't know why he's got that reaction, whether that will play out. And she kind of says that everything's okay, and this is our world, and we belong together. So that kind of goes back to she's saying this is her world, and that's played out by when she picks one of the babies up, the voodoo child music linked to the kind of witch theory that she's in control of everything. But I don't know what that look means by Vision. If you've got any ideas, any suggestions, just leave it in the comments, and it'll be great to hear what you've got to say. But that was episode 4, a really, really good episode, a really strong episode, answered a lot of questions and gave us more questions, which I really love. And a few comments were left, and I've received a few emails as well, that I was a real hater of episode 1, and I wasn't. But it just, as I said, it got on my nerves, the slapstick comedy. I don't like that kind of comedy. And I think that's why they released episode 1 and 2 together, because if they would have released one on their own, people wouldn't have liked it. But in 2, they could actually see what they were doing. So it wasn't a case of impatience. I wasn't expecting another endgame battle by any means. It was just, I didn't like the situational comedy, and the jokes were just boring. I wanted to be challenged and have those kind of questions and those teasers left. So that's why I was just a bit pissed off when I saw episode 1. And by episode 2, I started to love him. Okay, that was episode 4. I hope you enjoyed that review. Please subscribe, leave your comments, let me know what you think as well. And check out everything else on the playlist. And thanks for those who have subscribed and watched the videos and left feedback as well. Don't forget, we've got the audio podcast coming up with reviewing Shoot 'em Up, which is currently on Netflix. Watch it, then listen to our podcast. And again, let me know what you think. Okay, I'm Stuart. You guys take care of yourselves, and I'll see you very soon.